Ruslan.
Bree asks, do you believe females should be submissive to their male friends? I ask because when I'm around my male friends, I have the urge to be for some reason. Really interesting question. Should females be submissive to their male friends? No. No, you shouldn't be submissive to just anybody, okay? That is for whoever is the head of the household, right? So when you're in your parents' home, you should be submitted to your parents. And the word submission is like a very confusing word in a lot of ways, but you should honor and be submitted to your parents. When you're just around random people, I don't know why you would be like submitted to them unless there's some type of accountability, but I don't recommend men and women hold each other accountable. That sounds like a massive headache. That sounds like a really, 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 really train wreck waiting to happen. So I don't recommend your friends be the opposite sex for accountability. I think you need some solid, godly women in your life that can hold you accountable and submit to them. Submit to some godly sisters. That would be my advice for in terms of submission. Now, when you get into marriage, it sounds like you already have a complementarian view of marriage. Now, so sometimes complementarianism can get convoluted with a hierarchical view, right? It's a very tricky distinction that you can make, because in a complementarian marriage, the husband and the wife are equal but distinct in role. That doesn't mean the husband never listens to his wife. Doesn't mean the husband makes all decisions by himself. It means that they're equal, but they have distinct roles, and ultimately the husband is the head of the household. That doesn't mean he gets to abuse her. That doesn't mean he gets to control and micromanage her life. That's not what that means. And oftentimes the critique of complementarianism is painted with a broad brush that is a caricature. It's not the real thing, right? So when a complementarian marriage is presented, I would parallel it to the Trinity. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, all equal in essence, but they have distinct roles, okay? The Father sent the Son. The Son did not send the Father, right? So they have distinct roles, but they have equal essence in their divinity and their divine nature. The same thing in a marriage. This is why it's important to actually get the Trinity right, believe it or not. Because if you don't get the Trinity right and you think it's this hierarchical, the Father is the dominant force and he sends the Son, and the Son, like, it's equal in essence, different in role. In the same way in a marriage, equal in essence, you have dignity, you have value, you have worth, distinct different roles in terms of how things function. Right, I'll give you an example. Generally speaking, babies, little babies, are going to be attached to who? The mother or the father? Equal, they both came together to make the baby. Essence, equal essence, distinct roles. Because the baby literally latches on to the mother for sustenance. It doesn't mean that the father is less than. It just means that the mother has a different and a distinct role, and I know this because I got a 6-month-old. My baby, my Zoe, loves me. She lights up every time I walk in the room. But guess who she spends more time with? My wife, who she is latched on for sustenance. This isn't patriarchy. This isn't sexist. This is just common sense. I'm gonna dig a little bit. Ladies, just buckle up. Just buckle up, because this may hurt some of y'all feelings. They did a survey. They surveyed women who work, who have kids under the age of 18. Women who work jobs, full-time jobs, who have kids under the age of 18. 59% of women who work, who have kids under the age of 18, prefer to stay home and be with their kids. This is a real study, secular study done. Okay, that's 18. Imagine how that number would look if you had kids under the age of 5. Okay? So you have women who have kids under the age of 18 that would, 59% of them would prefer to stay home instead of go work a full-time job. they've done studies on dual income households with children, and they found out that dual income households actually take home less money than single income breadwinners. Why? Well, childcare is super expensive. Driving, clothes, eating out, all those things add up. So a dual income household, when you need childcare, which a lot of people do, actually takes home less money. Why am I talking about this? Well, when we have a healthy understanding of what a complementarian marriage is, and that historically, you know, the men have always went out and hunted and gathered and all those different things, and women nursed the babies and cared for the babies. And then at some point, when a boy is, you know, between the ages of like 11 to 12, he's starting to come into manhood, puberty starting, boys will usually go and be with their fathers. Saying all this is like extremely politically incorrect, because a lot of women are like sold this lie that you could have it all. You could have the amazing career and be married and have an amazing family. And the truth is, like, you can't. No one can have it all. No one can do everything. And so when we're talking about complementarianism, you have to ask yourself, like, yeah, you may think it's cool to be an independent woman and have a career in this whole thing, and then you have a baby, and then your maternity leave runs out, and you got a 12-week-old, and you want to go back to work? Well, 59% of women don't. So that means what you're looking for in a husband, those attributes are going to be different. Are they going to have the ability to provide? Are they going to have the ability to protect? Fellas, you want a certain type of woman, but do you have the things that a woman would want from a man? Do you have the ability to provide? Do you have the ability to protect? Right? And so you can go on this whole like 50-50, we're both going to work and we're going to pay $3,000 a month for childcare and we're going to do that whole thing. But is that ideal? I know that there's exceptions to the rule, and there's stay-at-home dads, and there's all these things. And I got friends that are stay-at-home dads, and it's fine. But when you're talking about dignity, when you're talking about value, I believe God just kind of hardwired women to be a little different. They love unconditionally that a mother has for a child. A father's love is a bit different. A father's love is and Jordan Peterson said this. So a father's love is more of a, I love you, but I believe more for you. It's a love with accountability. So I think you have to think through all of those scenarios and figure out what is it that you want in a partner. Where do you want to live? What do you want in a partner? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? So on and so forth. And then reverse engineer that. I don't think we spend enough time talking about this. I think we sell people a fantasy a lot of times. We sell a lot of women fantasies, and then you have a lot of tension, right? 50% divorce rate, which is supposed to be going down, by the way. Most of the tension, most of the divorces are over money fights and money problems. That's the number one reason for divorce. And so complementarianism is starting to sound much more attractive. There was just an article that came out that my homegirl Rebecca Barrett just covered this video. I'll link it in the description or in the pinned comments. And there's an article that came out, I believe from the New York Post, that found that progressive women in New York City are desiring men with traditional values. Who would have thought progressive women want men with traditional values? Isn't that interesting? This is secular stuff. This is why I say God's ways are better than your ways. God's ways will always be better than your ways. Ladies, you want to be a modern woman and you want to have a career and then wait until you're 35 to get married and start your life and all those shenanigans. That comes with a price. And then they're finding that women who are actually looking to get married, well, what they really want is a complementarian husband that's willing to provide and protect. So you want the ways of God without God. It's like an old Paul Washer quote. Everybody want to go to heaven, they just don't want God to be there when they get there. Again, this is not to say, well, women can't have careers, women can't be entrepreneurs, all of that. I would say if you're an entrepreneur, you have way more flexibility, right? Like you have way more flexibility in terms of, if you're a woman entrepreneur, in terms of you're probably gonna make more money for your time if you figure the entrepreneurial thing out, and you're gonna have more flexibility, and you will be able to kind of do both. But if you just want like a 40-hour-a-week job, you're driving 20 to 30 minutes is the average commute, and you want little kids, like, oh my gosh, you're in for a rude awakening. Dudes too, like dudes trying to work 80 hours a week and be a dad, like something's gonna give. You gotta find that that balance of how much, where do you want to live? How much do you want to make? You know, what kind of lifestyle do you want to have? What kind of neighborhood do you want to live in? And so when you factor all these things in, this is why developing skills is important, right? Some of you guys are like, well, I work 2 jobs and I'm still broke. You know, it's hard out here. It is hard. It is hard. If it was easy, everybody would be wealthy. If it was easy, everybody would make $100,000 a year. If it was easy, everybody would have an amazing marriage. It's simple, but not easy. It's how most of life is, by the way. Simple, but not easy. So you want to make more money? Tell you how. Make yourself more useful to your current employer. Crush it. Knock it out of the park. That's what this whole Love What You Do challenge we did was just about. Skill stack. Take the skills you already have and stack those with more skills to make yourself more valuable. And then you can go and create other options for yourself. You can start that side hustle, right? Average American watches around 30 hours of TV per week. Per week. Maybe you aren't. Maybe you're literally working 2 jobs. You're working 40 hours a week and you're working another 30 hours a week and all you do is sleep. Respect. So you got to learn some new skills. You got to carve out some time somewhere to develop some new skills, to get some new certifications so that you can earn more money, so that you can make a bilateral move, so that you can do something different, right? And now I'm talking to the fellas here, right? If you want a certain type of lifestyle, you want a certain type of wife, a certain number of kids, to live in a certain area, to do all these things, you got to have the skills to provide that, right? Everybody's like, well, what about the people that are working entry-level jobs? Well, entry-level jobs are never meant to be permanent. Like the job at McDonald's wasn't meant to hold you down for the rest of your life. Those jobs were intended for young teens who are getting out of high school or in high school, or college students who need to develop some type of things on their resume and get some work experience so that they can earn through college and then transition and go do something else. And a lot of times it's folks who kind of made mistakes and they need something to do, right? So they're coming out of prison, so they don't have the certifications to do that. So everybody's like, minimum wage, minimum wage, minimum wage. Minimum wage was never supposed to be something. Minimum wage was not supposed to be a livable wage, fam. How do you get a livable wage? Well, you develop better skills. You make yourself more useful in the marketplace. Guess what's more useful in the marketplace? Is it what you're passionate about, or is it what the marketplace is deemed more useful? It's what the marketplace is deemed more useful. Some of you guys, I don't know, you're experts at Pogs, and you don't want to flip Pogs on eBay. I don't even know if that's a thing. I'm sure it is. I'm sure somebody's selling Pogs, but you're just a phenomenal Pogs player, and that's your skill set. Well, guess what? The marketplace hasn't found that skill set valuable. How fire you are at Call of Duty isn't considered valuable in the marketplace unless you have a fire personality and you can be a YouTube and skill stack with that. So you got to find what's valuable in the marketplace. What's valuable in the marketplace are scarce skills. Take those skills, add those to your repertoire, be more useful, work your way up at your current job. If you can't, find another job, find a side hustle. Simple, but not easy. If we're trying to build healthy, stable lives, healthy marriages, all these different things in the most prosperous country in the world. And yes, I get it. The cost of living here is expensive too. Well, you don't have to live in San Francisco, Seattle, San Diego, LA, or New York, or Chicago. You don't have to live in those areas. You can go live an hour inland, right? And figure it out. Go live 2 hours inland. Go live in somewhere with a low cost of living. Right? If it's tight for you, and people do that here all the time. People can't afford to live where I live, so guess what? They go live in a high desert where the cost of living is slashed in half. Yes, it's 3 hours out of the way, but there's jobs out there. Like it really is all connected, you know, in terms of how we view complementarian marriages, how we view who's going to be the provider, who's going to be the breadwinner, who's going to care for the kids while they're babies, who's going to go out and build something, who's going to have a side hustle, how much time are we going to spend watching Netflix, all those different things. And so those would be the ways I would be thinking about marriage and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of submitting to your male friends, nah, sis. That sounds like maybe you need a better connection with your father. You know, that would be my advice. Like maybe there's a disconnect there from your dad, and you're missing that intimacy. You know, maybe the guys that you're submitting to remind you of that. But anyway, let me know what y'all think about that. I know this is challenging. Peace.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Hey, thank you so much for making it till the end of this video. Remember to hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. I wanted to tell you about a free upcoming course I am putting together at mastermyhabits.com. When you sign up right now, you'll be the first to be notified about the course. And in the meantime, you'll immediately get access to a playlist going over my journey on how I went from addiction to freedom forming habits. So make sure to hit that link in the description. I'll see you on the next video.